went to the beach today, even though that was a terrible idea because I've been so sick for so many months. But it's Pride weekend, I had to do it. I almost passed out, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I hate autoimmune diseases because I fluctuated between being completely fine and in so much pain like every hour.
When the clock strikes midnight tonight, it will be Disability Pride Month. There will be no flashy merchandise. Companies will not change their logos if they even know what our pride flag looks like, and celebrities will not be talking about it. And disabled people will still be fighting for equity and equality.
First, get a jar. Patrick, that's a pickle.
Yes.
We need to do something super serious!
Oscar, your stress sweat is getting all over me. Go take a bubble bath, have a latte, sip some chai tea. We'll hook up later. Here's my card.
Right? I am so sorry I'm just a few minutes late, but are you already eating? Yeah, well, you were late and I was hungry. It's been 5 minutes. Did they bring your food out in 5 minutes? It's a great restaurant. My mom brings me here every Sunday, so they know my order. So, date talk. What do you do? Oh, well, I guess that's sweet. But yeah, we can dive right in. So I actually have a chronic illness and I recently had to quit my job, so that's not a problem. My mom doesn't work either. So when we're married, I want you to be at home. When we're married? Yeah, so if you're sick, but you don't look sick, by the way, you can take care of the easy stuff, like the kids, the laundry, the dishes, just the basic woman stuff. Wow, that's a lot to process. I don't think any of that is easy work. Basic chores are actually pretty difficult for me. What? Check, please. Oh, we're done. That's probably a good idea. You have the day you deserve. I'm sorry, you're not gonna split half the bill? I thought you wanted a partnership. Should have known you were a gold digger. I didn't get anything. Ah, fudge, I forgot my wallet. Can you cover me this time?
Did you know that July is Disability Pride Month? That's okay, a lot of people don't, but let's talk about what Disability Pride is and why it matters. July marks the passing of the Americans with Disabilities Act 31 years ago, and while it was a huge milestone, we still don't have equal rights. Disabled folks can still be denied accommodations by schools and businesses, and those of us who are on SSI benefits can't get married without losing their benefits. Our lives continue to be viewed as expendable. Just look at the rhetoric surrounding the pandemic when people said that we shouldn't get life-saving care because our lives weren't worth living in the first place. But despite a long history of poverty, institutionalization, and abuse, we still live with so much joy. In a world that demands we cure and fix ourselves, we celebrate our disabled bodies and the ways in which they've kept us alive. We celebrate a rich disabled culture of care, writing, art, innovation, communication, hospital glam, spoon theory, and so much more. Our pride is a message of resistance and radical self-love, and it is the opposite of everything the world expects from us. So don't worry about fixing us. Fix ableist structures and systems instead. This month and every month, we will not bow to shame. We will celebrate in all our disabled glory.
I never pretend to be something I'm not. You got what you see when you see what I got. We live in the real world.
The very first mobility aid that I ever got was a pink cane. I was really nervous to use it in public, and I was still in a lot of denial about needing a mobility aid because I never really even considered that I could become disabled. Something that I actually didn't even realize until later on in my life is that I've been disabled for quite a long time. I had chronic symptoms that prevented me from doing a lot of stuff when I was younger. I missed a lot of school, but we just didn't even realize the extent. I learned that over the years, the only people who were bothered by my mobility aids were people that I didn't even know. I realized that the benefit of using mobility aids far outweighed any negative comments or criticism from people. I am so proud to be able to work with OAS to show you guys wheelchairs because I know how much a mobility aid can change somebody's life and give them more independence.
Welcome back to the Pride Dinos. Today's flag is the Disability Pride flag, and our dino is Allosaurus. In honor of National Disability Pride Month, today's dino is for the Disability Pride flag. And it is not an LGBTQ identity, I have to say this every year. Each color has a different representation. Red is for physical disabilities, gold, neurodiversity, white, invisible and undiagnosed disabilities, blue, emotional and psychiatric disabilities like anxiety and depression, green is sensory disabilities, and black is for those who have passed, those who have suffered from malpractice or mistreatment because of their disabilities, and the typical treatment of those with disabilities throughout humanity's history. I picked Allosaurus for this flag because of the extensive history of paleopathologies discovered in various specimens of Allosaurus. Paleopathologies are any number of injuries or diseases recorded within a specimen's bones. And while there have been many across paleontology's history, Allosaurus has an extensive list. There's obviously the typical result of interspecies fighting versus other allosaurs like fractures or amputation. But to name a few others, there are cases of osteoarthritis, breaking down in the joints of cartilage and bones, osteopetrosis, also known as marble bone disease, where the bones become denser and eventually cause them to break down, and lesions similar to those caused by osteomyelitis, inflammation in the bone marrow, all three of which can be found similarly in humans. For their accessory, I picked the sword and shield because this is one of the many species discovered during a time called the Bone Wars, where two rich men fought for who could find more dinosaurs. And this is our finished Disability Pride Allosaurus. Here's the lineup for the rest of the flags in this series. I also have pride designs for sharks, dogs, and cats. If you'd like to get stickers or free phone wallpapers, you can go to linktree/AlexFictus.
July is Disability Pride Month. Here are 8 things you should know. Disabled isn't a bad or dirty word. People trying to erase the term disability and replace it are doing more harm than good. You may have heard terms like differently abled, physically challenged, special needs, or handy-capable. These words diminish and erase disability from the picture. Having a disability isn't something to be ashamed of. These words deny the existence of disability and reinforce the stigma surrounding disability rather than embracing it as a valued aspect of diversity. Erasing the term disability can evoke fear and frustration among those who claim a disabled identity and align with disability culture. There was an article in the Journal of Rehabilitation Psychology where all 6 authors identified as disabled female scholars and psychologists. They started the Say the Word movement to embrace disability identity. Disabled people are reclaiming our identities, our community, and our pride. We will no longer accept euphemisms that fracture our sense of unity as a culture. With that being said, remember to respect disabled people and how they would like to be addressed. Whether that's identity first language like disabled person or person first language like person with disability. Not all disabilities are visible to the naked eye. These are what we call invisible disabilities. 80% of disabilities are invisible. Invisible disabilities can be physical, mental, or neurological. Examples are chronic illnesses, autism, ADHD, intellectual disabilities, and many more. July is Disability Pride Month to celebrate the anniversary of one of the most important civil rights laws in American history, which is the 1990 Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. But what you don't hear about is the wide-ranging efforts in recent years, mainly by congressional Republicans and the Trump administration, to undermine disability rights. The attacks are widespread, trying to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, threatening Medicaid funding for disabled people to receive in-home care. The Department of Justice is no longer enforcing accessibility requirements. Last year, House Republicans voted to reduce support for students with disabilities. Under this proposal, as many as 7.5 million children with disabilities would face reduced support. This cut is equivalent to removing more than 48,000 teachers. Trigger warning for the next 3 points. Talks of these things. Disabled people are at a higher risk of suicide. Disabled men are over 3 times more likely to die by suicide. Disabled women are over 5 times more likely to die by suicide. Crime against disabled people is rising. Data shows from 2017 to 2019, disabled people were victims for 26% of non-fatal violent crimes, even though they only make up 12% of the population. Disabled people experience a higher rate of domestic violence and sexual assault than non-disabled people. 70% of disabled people experience some form of abuse and are 3 times more likely to be sexually assaulted. In the past 5 years, over 550 people with disabilities have been murdered by their parents, relatives, or caregivers. That's at least 2 people per week. Here are some reputable places to donate to. If you have any more suggestions, drop them in the comments. Disabled rights are human rights. Anybody can become disabled at any point in their life. Remember to be kind because you never know what somebody is going through. Happy Disability Pride Month. Thank you for being here. Bye. July is Disability Pride Month, and people often ask, why do we celebrate Disability Pride? The simple answer is that July marks the anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was passed on July 26, 1990. But celebrating disability pride is about so much more than that, because while the ADA was a huge milestone for disability rights, we still have a long way to go towards creating a truly accessible world. Despite the ADA's regulations, disabled folks still don't have equal rights. For example, in the United States, it is still legal for disabled people to be involuntarily sterilized, paid sub-minimum wage, and lose their disability benefits and healthcare if they get married. And around the world, ableism continues to devalue disabled lives. I mean, just look at the rhetoric around the COVID-19 pandemic, as people claim that it's fine because only the vulnerable will die, or that people who are high risk should just never leave their homes. Our lives are treated as acceptable losses, and ableism has deadly consequences. Roughly 50% of people who are killed by police have a disability. In the last 5 years, at least 570 disabled people were murdered by their caregivers or family members. And in 2020, there were multiple cases of medical professionals denying life-saving care to people with disabilities, or forcing them to sign DNRs because allegedly their lives weren't worth saving. We celebrate disability pride because non-disabled people often assume that disabled lives are not worth living. In places like Canada, governments have actually made it more accessible and affordable for people with disabilities to get medical assistance in dying than to get treatment or have their access needs met. But despite the barriers of ableism and inaccessibility, disabled folks continue to live full and beautiful lives and to create a world that is more accessible for everyone. Disability pride is a celebration of our continued survival in a world that makes it so hard for us to live. We challenge the narrative that disability is something to fear and embrace it as a natural part of human diversity, a group that anyone is one accident, health change, or period of aging away from joining. We take pride in the history and culture of disability, and the traditions of disability justice, believing that no body or mind should be left behind. In fact, disabled activists hold the record for the longest occupation of a federal building in the United States, 28 days. We work in solidarity at the intersection of multiple marginalizations and create access for one another when no one else is willing to. We celebrate disability pride as a reminder that disabled lives are worth living and worth fighting for. And we have so much to be proud of this month and every month.